Howdy everyone, it's Sam. Welcome back to Wobble Enjoy Sports. If you're new around here, hope I can get you to consider to like the content and subscribe to the channel. But if you're a regular around these here parts, thank you very much for the continuous support. Let's get stuck into week 5 of the NFL. Week starts from Atlanta, Georgia. The Falcons host the Buccaneers, and Falcons find themselves as the favourites coming into the contest as $1.77 favourites, whereas the Bucs, they are $2.09 outsiders. The Falcons winning in the last couple of seconds with a 50-plus metre field goal or 50-yard field goal, and the Buccaneers are doing it pretty nicely against the Philadelphia Eagles. I gave the Falcons the benefit of the doubt last week, so I tipped them, and that came up trumps. Against the New Orleans Saints, I think them coming up against the Bucs, I'm not as trustworthy. I'm going to go the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to go in Atlanta and get the dub tonight. Emanating from Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London, the Minnesota Vikings, technically the home team, take on the New York Jets, and it's the Vikings who are $1.77 favourites, and the Jets are out to $2.19. Weird game. You could very easily fall into the trap of thinking that it's the Jets. They will jet again, but they played in some atrocious conditions last weekend in their 1-point loss to Denver, whereas the Vikings just keep on doing it. They definitely had a scary second half, and they only won by a handful of points, but they're 4-0 and they're playing some surprise packet, really good footy, are the Vikings. It could be very easy to fall into the trap of tipping the Vikings just because they're taking on the Jets, but New York Jets over in London with Aaron Rodgers on the big stage. The Vikings have been surprising people for the past month or so, against some really good opposition at that too. But this might be the best defense if the defense does show up. This might be the best defense that the Vikings have had to take on to start 2024. I'm really even about this game. I'm not too sure. I got this feeling that the Jets are going to win, but I'm going to play it safe, and I'm going to avoid the value on the Jets, and I'm going to take the Vikings in a Sam Darnold revenge game, but I think this is going to be pretty bloody close. Chicago Bears host the Carolina Panthers from Soldier Field, and the Bears are $1.49 favourites. The Carolina Panthers sit at $2.79. The Panthers had a good account of themselves against the Cincinnati Bengals last weekend, but ultimately did fall. And the Chicago Bears doing it against the Los Angeles Rams, but the Rams are so depleted that anybody could do it. So I'm not sure if I'm going to take too much out of the Chicago Bears victory, and I want to lean on Carolina Panthers. I think they're in this game up to their eyeballs, but Chicago, they're back in front of the faithful. I'm going to give the Bears the tip here. Washington Commanders host the Cleveland Browns, and the Commanders are $1.49 favourites. The Browns are sitting at approximately $2.70. The Browns, it's wild. What's happening at Cleveland this year? They should have, for all intents and purposes, smashed Las Vegas Raiders in Las Vegas last weekend, and it just didn't happen. I know there was a very controversial call that robbed them potentially, but still, I thought they were better than that. And meanwhile, the Washington Commanders, if it ain't the Vikings, it's definitely the Commanders who are the surprise packet for 2024. And it feels like another trap game where you could tip Commanders very easily. I got a feeling about the Browns, but I'm going to say the Washington Commanders take care of the Browns. New England Patriots host the Miami Dolphins from Gillette Stadium, and it's New England who are the favourites at $1.88. The Dolphins are $1.96. These two teams, I believe, are in the bottom 3 for attack in 2024. This could be this could be a very, very dour game of footy. Dolphins, still going to be without Tua for the next handful of weeks. They've just been dealt another injury blow as well. New England, I think I've got to give it to them. Dolphins, they are absolutely depleted. They have zero confidence, and I think New England Patriots can do it just with their defense. So New England, I'm going to tip them. Jacksonville host the Indianapolis Colts, and Jacksonville come into the game as $1.67 favourites. The Colts are $2.22. I didn't think the Colts would be outsiders by that much, considering the Jaguars they have not won a game this year. And Indianapolis's Florida record is not good. It is not a good record for the Colts. And this is do or die. It's so early on in the season. I know, I get that. But this is a must-win game for the Jacksonville Jaguars. If they don't win this one, you can put the pencil through them. Not the red pen, but you can definitely put the pencil through them. So I've got to go the Jacksonville Jaguars. They have to win this game. And they should. They're a realistic shot for sure. But I've got to go the Jacksonville Jaguars in this game in a must-win contest. A very, very interesting game. The Texans host the Bills, and the Bills come in as really slight favourites. They're about $1.91, whereas the Texans are $1.93. But pretty much it's split down the middle, and this is a fascinating game. It could be a high-scoring contest. It could be a mid-range scoring contest. I think the Buffalo Bills might bounce back and retaliate big time after getting smashed by the Baltimore Ravens. The Texans, their form has been a little bit, what's the word for it, unconvincing in 2024, but it's still early on. But now's the time where teams really do need to start hitting that proper gear. But I'm going to tip the Buffalo Bills after the embarrassing loss last weekend. The Cincinnati Bengals host the Baltimore Ravens, and Bengals, the home side, are $2.19 outsiders. The Ravens are $1.71 favourites. This Cincinnati Bengals defense has been so disappointing. They had a very tough slog against Carolina in Carolina last weekend, whereas the Ravens, they found themselves big time smashing out the Buffalo Bills. I have to tip the Baltimore Ravens here. It is a divisional rivalry game, so I should put a little bit more onus and respect on the Bengals, but they've been truly disappointing this season, defensive particularly. Joe Burrow had a slow start, but I think the past 2 weeks in particularly, he's been solid, really good in fact. But I can't go past the Baltimore Ravens in this game. One of the great rivalries in all of NFL has another chapter written to it this weekend as the Denver Broncos host the Las Vegas Raiders. The Broncos come into the game as about $1.80 favourites, whereas the Raiders, they find themselves at $2.20, around that range. I'm not tipping Raiders. I don't care if it costs me. They're such a frustrating team to watch and try to follow. Denver Broncos, their defense, whilst I haven't seen it firsthand in person sort of thing, haven't watched any of their games, by reading what's up and listening to professionals talk about them, their defense is nothing to sneeze at. They will smash you. And this Las Vegas Raiders outfit against this Denver Broncos defense, I just don't think they will put up too many points, but this will be a low-scoring slog like the Denver Broncos like it, and I'm going to go Denver to win this game. San Fran host Arizona, and the 49ers are $1.27 favourites. The Cardinals are $3.95. It's not bad value on Arizona. The 49ers still very much beat up with injury, but they overcame all that to get a very big victory last weekend, whereas the Cardinals, they got blown out by the Commanders last weekend at home, so that was a shock. But there's going to be a bounce back factor here for the Cardinals. It's a divisional rivalry game. I can't go past the 49ers, but I think if you want to, I think there's a bit of value there for the Cardinals. Seattle Seahawks host the New York Giants, and the Seahawks are $1.33. Giants are $3.45. Seahawks First time I've actually sat down and watched them in 2024 last weekend, watched every single second of that game against Detroit, and look, the defensive line is obliterated at the moment. They wouldn't have been happy, obviously, with leaking 42 points, but super proud of the effort. And I think even though there might still be people that will say, you see, Seahawks haven't defeated anybody and they just came up against the Detroit Lions and lost. No, I think Seattle, I think they fought pretty bloody well. I definitely think that they proved a few of those critics wrong for sure, even though they did lose. Last time the Giants played in Seattle, they won. So they can't be taken lightly, but go Seattle. Los Angeles Rams host the Green Bay Packers, and it's the Rams who are outsiders, sitting around $2.25, whereas the Green Bay Packers are $2.20. The Packers, they got punched in the face by the Vikings, but came back in that second half and made it a contest, whereas the Rams went down last weekend heavily. The Packers, I'm going to back in this game. They'd be a little embarrassed about what happened last weekend. The Rams, they themselves are still decimated with injury on both sides of the line. So I'm going to go the Green Bay Packers in this one, away from home. From Acrisure Stadium, the Steelers host the Dallas Cowboys for Sunday Night Football. The Steelers, they find themselves as favourites at approximately $1.70, whereas the Cowboys sit at approximately $2.10. And the Cowboys are without Micah Parsons, and they're also without another crucial piece to their defense. Whereas the Steelers, they went down last weekend to the Colts away from home, and their defense leaked 27 points. But conversely, the Steelers were able to score 24 points of their own. This is a fascinating game. It may not be the prettiest, but I got to go the Pittsburgh Steelers in this game. Dallas, just besides their first week win against Cleveland, have not been convincing. The Steelers defense, I think, can shut down Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys this weekend. And finally, for Monday Night Football or Tuesday morning footy here in Australia, Kansas City versus New Orleans Saints. And the Saints, they find themselves in the $3 range. Kansas City inside that $1.30 range. Rashid Rice for the Kansas City Chiefs is out. So their offensive line, their attack, the Chiefs, is decimated at the moment. New Orleans Saints, I'm not too sure what to expect from them coming into this weekend after going down to the Falcons in the last couple of seconds last weekend. I'm still going to give the edge to Kansas City Chiefs, but if this New Orleans Saints defense can smash up Chiefs, I think they're a shot. But you'd be a fool to back against the Kansas City Chiefs at the moment, so I'm going to go KC for the dub. Thanks everybody for the continuous support. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Go Seahawks. Talk to you later.